So today we are going to be talking about Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, and more specifically the things that don't quite line up just right. So this is a series I've been doing. You're probably familiar with it, but basically, if you want to see a gush review of how awesome this is, I already did that. I did it yesterday. I'll link it there. I'll link it down below. I'll also have a playlist linked if this is the first video like this that you found and you want to check out more of these. But I love this book. I love this series. The video from yesterday is where we discuss that. And today we're going to talk about all the things that don't quite line up just right in this book specifically. So let's get into it. So, okay, here we go. I have a bunch of things. We're going to start off with the World Cup and then things that happen shortly after the World Cup. And then we have like something about bad wizards, you'll see. And then we're going to end on all the things in the Triwizard Tournament. A lot of these things are just small, little, doesn't quite fit just perfectly right. Some of these things are a little bit bigger, but anyway, let's talk about it. So the first couple are small things, and probably the one that belongs in this video the least, but that I can't leave out because it drives me mad, is about Crumb catching that daggum snitch. So I'll try to be brief on this because I know a lot of people love this scene and a lot of people are going to disagree with me, and it's nothing that J.K. Rowling necessarily did wrong, it's just frustrating to me, and it's just the way this competition went down. There was so much buildup. This is the biggest thing. These are the two teams that fought for their positions at the top and are now gonna face off. Like, if you follow sports at all, which I don't very closely, if you do it all, you know you've come really far to get to this point, and this is a really big deal. So Ireland is better than Bulgaria. They outperform them by quite a lot, and they very quickly take the lead. There is no time frame given in this book of how long this match goes on, but we know it's over really fast. I estimate maybe a 30-minute match based off of all the things that have gone down. It's really short. Even though these matches can go on for weeks and have gone on for months in the past, we get maybe an hour tops. Why do we get maybe an hour tops? Because Ireland is outperforming by a lot, and Crumb says, I quit. Okay, this is really hard for me because the snitch is worth 150 points. So Ireland is doing really well. They've pulled ahead by a lot. Bulgaria catches the snitch. Crumb catches the snitch. And then the game's over. Ireland still wins because Ireland's better than Bulgaria right now. And the final score is Bulgaria 160, Ireland 170. So the whole reason Crumb does this is because he knows that Ireland's better and he wants to end the match on his terms, so he quits. He catches the snitch early and ends the match and lets Ireland win. Here's why this sucks. Because all Bulgaria needed was 20 points. They just needed to get the goal in the post 2 times and then they could have won. I get that Ireland was scoring point after point after point, so the possibility of Bulgaria getting 2 goals and Ireland getting no more it's not huge. So I get that Bulgaria likely wasn't gonna win. But also the game just started. Has Crumb never heard of an upset? I mean, have you never seen has J.K. Rowling never seen when a top 5 team or really good team is facing off against a cupcake team and then there's a big upset and the cupcake team wins? I'm using basketball terms because that's all I understand. But this happens. This isn't even so infrequent that there's an upset. This happens all the time in tournaments. Has the Bulgarian Quidditch team never heard of leaving it all on the court or the Quidditch field? Can you imagine if you showed up, you took time off work, traveled, showed up to a championship game, the final match, and 30 minutes into the match, the game, the team that you're rooting for all just sits on the bench and says, we know they're better than us, so we're ending this on our terms. We quit. I just don't know how a competitor, a world-class competitor, could do this. And then when the captain of the Bulgarian Quidditch team is like, well, we fought well, and I'm just like, no, you didn't, you quit. Anyway, this isn't a flaw with the book. It's just something that irritates me so much. I know that now this is what the primary bit of the comments is going to be about because I know people disagree about this, and that's fine, but that's how I feel. Okay, now getting into the things that actually properly don't make sense rather than this character did something weird. Let's talk about the next sequence that happened. So after the previous Death Eaters decided to have a bit of fun by torturing and harming Muggles, they didn't torture them, but they did do horrible things. Mr. Weasley gathers the kids and sets them back up in the tents, and he's like, okay, let's go to sleep, wake up real early, and go see Molly, because maybe she'll have heard about this and she might be worried about us. And then it turns out she is. She gets home, they get home, and she is worried, just as Arthur predicted. She thinks that they're all dead, or is worried that they're all dead, and is so relieved to see them. Why wouldn't Mr. Weasley try to contact her? He has a Patronus, and in the Deathly Hallows, Arthur actually puts a Patronus out, he sends a Patronus out to Mrs. Weasley to let her know where he is. Why wouldn't he do it in this book? We already have Patronuses that send messages. Dumbledore does it in this book when he sends word to Hagrid. He sends his Patronus off, and then Hagrid comes into the forest after Barty Crouch Sr. Caught and Crumb was attacked. You know what I'm talking about. So we know that sending Patronuses out for a message already exists in this world. It happens in this book. Why wouldn't Arthur do that if he knows that his wife will likely be worried? Again, it's not a plot hole or anything. It just doesn't make sense. Okay, my next section of things is completely about the Death Eaters. And it's only 2 things, but in this book, we learn about 2 very important things, and that's the Veritaserum and the Dark Mark that is branded on the Death Eaters. So Veritaserum is used on Moody or Crouch Jr. when we have the monologue about how he was able to foil everybody. And I know people have questioned this before. Why didn't the Ministry use Veritaserum on all of the Death Eaters that they caught? And there were plenty of Death Eaters that they set free because they were like, oh, I was under Imperio, or I didn't mean it. And then the Ministry sent some of them off to Azkaban and let other ones go. Why not just use Veritaserum so that they could find out who was in league with Voldy for real and who wasn't? And I know that Rowling has addressed it and been like, you can't know that Veritaserum is being administered to you. Okay, cool, great. But in this book, Moody is on the lookout for Dumbledore and anyone else that might try to intervene while he's questioning Harry about what happened and if Voldy really did rise. So he's already on his guard. And then 1 second of taking his eyes off the door and focusing wholly on Harry, Dumbledore bursts in, performs Stupefy, which is like a stunning spell, so he's knocked out. And then he's forcibly given Veritaserum, and then he spills all his secrets. Cool. So if that's all we have to do, if all we have to do is stun them, and then we can give them Veritaserum, why don't we just stun them when we capture them, just stun them, give them the Veritaserum, and have them spill their guts? Like, if it's that simple, then if that's all it takes for them to be caught off guard and not knowingly take it, then why didn't we do the thing? Why not, when you capture them, stun them, and then do that thing that Dumbledore does with the pensive and take that memory out of your head, the aura that got them, take that memory out of your head, or something. Surely wizards have something similar to a camera where they could have recorded the confession. There are so many instances where they could have stunned these Death Eaters and then give them the Veritaserum. So I still feel like Veritaserum is a gaping plot hole. The other thing, and I don't think that this is necessarily a plot hole, it's something more like we don't have enough information on it, and so it doesn't fully make sense, and that's the Dark Mark on their forearms. So we know that every Death Eater has been branded, the Dark Mark has been burned onto them, and that's used as a way for Voldy to call them to him, and it's used as a way for them to be able to distinguish amongst each other who is in league with Voldemort. So we also know that it was a really dark time back in the day when Voldy was still powerful, and nobody knew who was in league with Voldemort and who wasn't, and people were in the Ministry, people were doing in positions of power, and you just never knew who to trust. But if they all have this branded on their arm, why not just say, hey, nice to meet you, pull up your sleeve? I mean, we know that the mark gets bolder when Voldemort gets stronger, or at least it does in this book. So it would be a reasonable assumption to think that when Voldemort was in power, the Dark Mark was pretty strongly branded on your arm. Again, we don't have enough information. Maybe it is more complex than just that, but I would appreciate the more information because I don't get why nobody looked at anybody's forearms. And finally, the final things that I want to talk about is the Triwizard Tournament. So there's a lot of things that don't quite work with this. I do want to say every single one of these tasks were so much fun to watch, especially the second two. So much fun to watch, and I love this book and I love these tasks. Amazing. But also, we got a couple of things. First of all, and this may just be Dumbledore being Dumbledore again, but when he is talking about the Triwizard Tournament, when he's announcing it to everybody 250 pages into the book, when we finally get to the point of the book, which don't get me wrong, I love those first 250 pages. But when we finally get there, Dumbledore says, well, this used to be something we did frequently, but the death toll counted so high that we had to call it off. But now we know how to make this safe. We feel really confident ain't nobody's gonna die. And then he doesn't do anything, literally anything, to make sure that happens. Underage wizard is submitted for clearly nefarious reasons and nobody knows who did it. We probably shouldn't look into it too much. The second task is going to take place underwater where literally no one can see them or knows how they're doing. Probs no one will drown. I get that they put the students that were captured into a deep sleep, but the champions only have an hour with whatever enchantment they do. Like for instance, Harry with the gillyweed, he could have drowned and they would never know because they had no idea what was happening under the water. It even talks about when Harry came up, it talks about how everybody was worried, including Dumbledore, because they didn't know if he was coming up or not. And then when the mer lady, the main lady of the mer people, came up and she was telling Dumbledore about what happened. Again, Dumbledore had no idea what was going on underwater. I mean, I guess we could maybe assume that Dumbledore had people following the students around, or like mer people following the students around to rescue them if they do get captured. Maybe that would be cool, but still feels like a lot could go wrong. Then, even more so, even worse, is the third task, where they're sent into a giant maze where there are blast-ended scroots, giant spiders that will attack you, sphinxes that will attack you, and surely plenty more nefarious creatures. Also, these students can attack each other if they deem themselves so evil. And what kind of precautions do we have? The teachers are surrounding the maze, walking around, waiting for red sparks, and if a red spark goes up, then the teachers will intervene. Otherwise, maybe they're safe. Maybe they're dying. We don't even get an aerial view. These people can fly. We know Dumbledore is able to fly. Also, we have broomsticks. But none of the teachers are like, let's get an aerial view of this maze so we can watch the students and make sure nobody's dying. Nothing. They don't even know that Harry and Cedric have been transported to a graveyard and facing off Voldemort. They don't know. They have no idea what's going on. So I know that this could all just be chalked up to Dumbledore being Dumbledore again, but he says that this is going to be safe, and then he does nothing to make sure it's safe. These students are on their own against really deadly stuff a lot of the time. The other thing is the point system. There's really nothing that makes sense about the point system in this book. First of all, there's no standards. When they face off against the dragon, it's completely up to the bias of the judges. They don't say, oh, by the way, here's what we expect of you. Do this, and if you hurt the dragon, you're gonna get points taken off. If you hurt yourself, you're gonna get points taken off. They don't have a standard. They just watch the performance and then say, that's a 9, that's a 4. Because I said so. Which is a weird way to judge things, especially when you have judges who are clearly in biased positions. But then you have the fact that the points don't make sense either. Specifically in the first task. So you have Crumb who shot, well, let's see, what did Crumb do? Crumb shot, I can't remember the spell, but a spell in the dragon's eye that the dragon is hurt and she's stumbling around and crushes half of her own eggs, killing her babies. That's sad. You have Cedric who transfigured something into a dog, and the Labrador, went running and the dragon went after that and then went back to Cedric, and Cedric got caught in a burst of flames and injured his face and like half of his body or something, I don't remember. That's a bumski, but he still got the egg. Both boys did. Then you have Fleur who put the dragon to sleep and got the egg, but then the dragon woke up and she got caught in a flame and her skirt caught fire. But she wasn't injured. She never went to Madame Pomfrey. She never got treated for any injury. Her skirt caught fire. The end. And Harry, who also, he flew around and he got his arm burned, but otherwise was fine. Cedric got points taken off for being injured. Harry got points taken off for being injured. Crumb got points taken off for smashing eggs, or having eggs smashed because of him. And Fleur, I don't have a French accent, I don't know how to say it right, but Fleur got her skirt singed. That's the thing that happened. And somehow she got the lowest score? Actually, we don't know what score she got, but we know that Harry and Victor Crumb tied for first place in that competition, which doesn't make any sense. And I get that Karkaroff is biased, and so he probably gave Crumb more points even though he didn't deserve as many, and we know he gave Harry less points even though. So I get that. But for Fleur, there's no reason she shouldn't have been on top. There's no reason all the judges shouldn't have given her a great score, even if Karkaroff is being biased and even if he's being a butt. The rest of them should have given her a good enough score because she wasn't injured, the dragon wasn't injured, the eggs weren't injured. Why didn't she get a better score? And then later on, I was very curious because we didn't get to find out what the scores were for Cedric or Fleur in the first challenge. We only learned about Harry and Cedric because Ron was the one issuing the information, and all he cared about was that Harry was tied for the top place. We did get their points in the second task, and Fleur got a really low score. Fine, whatever. But then when the third task came around, I was like, okay, I can add up Fleur's points and I can figure out how many points she has since I don't know at the moment. But no, I can't, because when Bagman is saying in first place is Harry and Cedric, they're tied for first. And they have 85 points, if I'm remembering correctly. And then in second place is Crumb with 80 points. And then in third place is Fleur. Let's go! He didn't say how many points Fleur got. The other three, their points were announced, but she didn't get her points announced. Why don't I get to know how many points she gets? Not that that bit is important at all. It's just, I want to know how many points she got. Why don't I know? And then this is kind of wrapped up with the point system as well, but the third task is kind of a winner takes all. The person who reaches the cup first, they get full marks and they win. And I don't know if this is because it actually is a winner takes all, or if it's just because all four of them are that close. Like we know that that Crumb, who is in second place, he's only 5 points behind the two that are tied in first place. So maybe Fleur is just barely below Crumb. Maybe she got enough points in the first task that it kind of balanced how few points she got in the second task. Maybe that's why it's a winner takes all. But I mean, we don't really have parameters. We don't know why this is, but the winner of the final task is the winner of everything, which essentially makes the first two tasks pointless. Why did we even do them if the winner of the third task is a winner takes all sort of situation? And the last thing that I'll mention, it's more of just an honorable mention because again, I think we just don't have enough information about port keys at this point. But it is mentioned at the beginning of the book that a port key is something that you have to register with the ministry and set up, and then the port key takes you one way. You touch it, it takes you to the place, and then the port key just becomes the useless item that it was before it was made into a port key. And that's just not how the port key works at the end. Somehow Crouch Jr. is able to turn the cup into a port key, which we don't know enough about how port keys are formed to really be able to know anything about this. Do you not have to register with the ministry? Is this something that any old wizard can do at any point in time? And if so, why don't more people make port keys to travel in general? Or is this something that Crouch Jr. just figured out how to do without the ministry's help because he's a dark wizard? But then if he did, why did he make it a two-way portal instead of the normal way port keys work where it takes you to one place? Why did it need to take you back? Like when Harry did Accio and he got the cup, golly, and it took him back. That's not the way port keys work. Why did Crouch Jr. even set it up as a two-way portal? Was he expecting Voldy after he got full in his power and killed Harry? Was Voldy going to come back to the school and wreak havoc? Again, this isn't a plot hole. It's just something that we just don't have enough information on for it to make sense. Oh, and also just because I forgot to mention this in the review, this is not a plot hole or a problem or anything. It's really just funny. Speaking of Accio, I do think it's funny that when Harry is stuck under his invisibility cloak and he's fallen through the stairs and he's stuck in the stair and Snape and Filch walk in on the egg screaming, you know what scene I'm talking about? I do think it's funny that Harry, he drops his Marauders map and he tries to get it by reaching out with his wand, trying to knock it over with his wand, when he literally just performed Accio in front of the entire school to get his broom from across campus in the castle while he's in the Quidditch field. He now uses his wand to try to prod something closer to him when he's stuck. instead of using Accio. That's not a problem, it's just really funny. Okay, so I know some of you guys are tired of the disclaimers, but y'all should read some of these comments. So just another reminder that this is all just for fun. I love the series. I just also like talking about the things that don't quite fit. I'd love to hear if any of these things were stuff that you didn't notice and you also are like, wow, yeah, that doesn't work, or if you maybe have an answer to some of these things. I post videos every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I'll see you guys again soon.